Welcome to the Adventure Podcast by BidX. I'm your host, Joie Roberts. Today, I am honored to be joined by Norm Farrar, a legendary figure in the Amazon and e-commerce space, known for his expertise in PPC, content marketing, and building strong seller communities. Norm has helped countless entrepreneurs scale their businesses and achieve success. In today's episode, we are diving into the secrets behind Norm's success, from mastering advertising strategies to creating a thriving support network. So get ready to be inspired and take actionable insights for your Amazon journey. Norm, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
Super excited to dig into your story because you have been selling on Amazon and helping Amazon sellers for quite some time now. So let's talk about, when did you first get started with Amazon?
It was a complete fluke. So a buddy of mine asked me to come down to Vegas, it was a webinar, and they were selling Kindles, and I'm sitting there going, we actually were beta testers for ASM, so way back, and I didn't like it. So I decided to remove myself, and my buddy ended up, being quite successful with that. Then he said, look, you're missing it. You got to come down to Vegas and you got to check out this thing called ASM, which was Amazing Selling Machine. So I went down, and this is in the height, like 2,500 people in this auditorium. I was with Rapid Crush with Jason Fladlin. So we joined that. And that was, I think, 2013 or something. And of course, between Jason and Matt and the other Jason, it was a rah-rah session beyond rah-rah sessions. And I came in to, they got me. They got my money. And never looked back. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's a great way to get started in e-commerce, especially with Jason Fladlin, who I've been in masterminds with, and then Matt and Mike over at Amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah, don't forget Jason Katzenbeck.
Yes, and Jason. Yes, evolved over time. So that was way in 2013 when I'll say selling was new, kind of like the wild, wild west, and not so many rules. So you've evolved dramatically, I guess, over the years. So how do you adapt and stay ahead of the curve?
You have to. Even right now with AI and everything that's going on is such a broad term, but you have to adapt. Before going on this call, I was, just looking and learning something brand spanking new that maybe I could apply to something. But like for e-commerce, I remember the days of CD Now, and BBSs and all this other stuff way back. And I guess my first website in e-com was back in the mid 90s. And so from there, and then my next website, that I did that for a corporation, Fortune 500 corporation. But then I wanted to do something on my own. And I had probably one of the first 2, 3, 4, 5 print on demand sites. So you could go and get your corporate identity done. I would create a logo for you. I already did outsourcing in China, so I did outsourcing to India at the time, and it all evolved. So it's constantly ebbing and flowing. Things that are old are really new, and things that are new have been passed down and old. Just like content right now.
Yeah,
content.
True.
I've been doing that for I don't know how many years, but it's swung around again. Press releases, they're back.
Email is bigger than ever.
Email is bigger than ever. Yeah.
Yes. You were just talking about print on demand for businesses. What was that? Is it like their books, or what is that?
Now, back then, what we would do, this is kind of a cool story if we got a couple of minutes, but
yeah.
At that time, I was involved with something called YEO, or now it's called EO. It was Young Entrepreneurs Organization. One of the guys in my forum was doing something in India. And he was telling me more about their outsourcing over there and their design network. And I said, wow, can you do logos? So he said, sure. So he set up this network of designers in India. I would give them the concepts around, it would be that day. They had 24 to 48 hours to turn it around. And then the person who found my website, which was really easy back in the day, they had an opportunity to get their logo in 2 days, and it would cost $3,000. Or it could be, I forget what it was, another 72 hours or a week. It went from $3,000 all the way to $395, and that was over a period of 3 weeks. And most people wanted it at that $1,500 range. So that was just the next tier down. And which was really cool was the designs that came up. They were multiple revisions. They cost me $60. And if somebody wanted their logo really quickly, well, that turned into a nice little profit. And most of them went for the second. Every single one, whether it was $395, I still got my $60. There you go. And made that profit, which was okay. I'm willing to live with that. But it was all the people that decided to pay $1,500 that I really loved. But then, and we talk about this right now, the width of a brand, what's the breadth? And okay, how can I get more out of that? Well, how about if we design your letterhead, envelopes, business cards, all of that stuff. We had this corporate identity spin on it. And then we linked that up to a print on demand company in Minnesota. And so it was one of the first of its kind, again, back in the day.
Okay. And now Amazon does print on demand. So you can sell digital products through Amazon. All right. Well, that's super cool. Yeah. I was just really, really curious with that. So you've watched the competition really come and go, I'd say, over the years. And I have too. I've been selling for about 5 years. But what about PPC campaigns? What changes have you seen? And what do you think drives results?
There's been so many changes in PPC. So when I started, there was no PPC on Amazon. Zero.
Whoa.
So it was just, you just ranked your product, people bought it, and you made a lot more money. And then, you had to, pay. Okay, this will give you an example. So I have an agency, and so we help other brands on Amazon. And what happened back in the day is Amazon decided to, okay, let's pay to play a little bit. So in my contract, I had to build in that you had to accept at least $300 in PPC.
Oh.
over the month.
Oh, that's
and
so
people
funny.
would complain, and it was, we have to do PPC. So now, I mean, you could spend that in an hour, but I think that and I am not the greatest PPC expert. I have to know it because of my clients and because of my staff. I have experts that run all the PPC and they're on top of it. But you have to be careful. First of all, what are you going to spend? What words are you going to go after? I find that still so many people go after browsing keywords than buying keywords. Yes. And if I want to give an example here, if you're just learning, if you go in and you have, I use this all the time, a bully stick. So a bully stick is a dog chew. So if you go in and you type in or want to campaign for dog chew, that's very broad. And it's a browsing keyword. People want to just see what types of dog chews are out there. But you can go in and you can say, I want a bully stick. And instead of having millions of searches per month, now you've got 200,000 searches, and people still waste their money on that. That's still a browsing keyword because you're going to blow your money. You're going to just waste it. So I try to drill down the old-fashioned way, try to find a long-tail keyword that could be supported. And I try to find the best low-hanging, I was going to say low-hanging fruit, but long-tailed keyword that would support most sales. So you can have a great long-hanging, and I'll give you an example. Made in the USA bully sticks. that is a true long tail keyword that has tons of sales, or odorless bully sticks. Still lots of searches, like I'm talking of, and I'm not 100% sure right now, but when I used to be looking at that specific one, there was tens of thousands of searches. Now that's enough to make a really great profit at the end of the day. So back in the day, you couldn't tell, you didn't know how many orders were being sold at that time associated with that keyword. So you might be putting all your money into these long tail keywords, and there was only one that was really paying off. And it might have even been one that had lower search volume. Now there's tools out there that say, okay, if you go in and do orderless, you'll get an average of X number of sales. So you've really nothing's changed with research. The more research you can do, still the better. And if you don't have a good quality either agency or person on your team that does PPC, you're missing out. It's just, I've seen night and day results with somebody that knows what they're doing and somebody who thinks that they know what they're doing.
Yes, and that's a good point. And we love that over here at BidX because we can put up the guardrails to keep you in your budgets and not going over, because Amazon loves money and makes it real easy to go over and push your budgets and suggest keywords to you that might not be what you're talking about, like the longer tail keywords that are going to convert. And I love the bully stick example, because you're right. That is just like you're browsing, but the intent to buy is what you're going for. And that works still on Google ads, right? Like you put in the long tail keywords, it's a better intent to buy. And as you've talked about before with overall marketing, you need external traffic to come in with long tail keywords, and that will lower your PPC as well as you rank organically. So like having that perfect overarching view and finding the keywords through the research you're talking about can help you on all the platforms.
Yeah, the other thing, like going with bully sticks, you try to find other words, and you can do this by, and we'll talk about communities a bit later, but understanding the lingo. So, all right, odorless pizzle. What the heck is a pizzle? Well, it's a bully stick. And people weren't looking, or at the time, were not looking for pizzle. They didn't know what it was.
Sure.
Well, if you're in the groups and you're talking and you hear that, now you can dominate like this niche. You could just niche down a little bit and to this pizzle group. And I don't know, like back in the day, I had this group with another very well-known guy in the space. His name's Tim Jordan. And we just did this on the fly. And it was amazing what we saw. We were on a call with our group, and somebody came up with a question. Oh, how can I find a product opportunity? Still a good question. How can I find a product opportunity? So Tim said, well, one of the things that we do is we'll go through, we'll experiment, and this tortilla press came up. And okay, so let's check out this tortilla press. I don't know how we even got to a tortilla press. Anything food related, I'm into. So, okay, we looked on Amazon and we saw that it was very competitive, and that there were all sorts of metal tortilla presses out there, and they were very inexpensive. They were almost being product cannibalized because they were $19 to $29. Nobody was making money.
Yeah.
And then on the call, we said, well, first of all, let's go into Pinterest and Etsy and see what people are doing with these tortilla presses. Well, we noticed that there was a wooden one. And so we went over to Alibaba and just went, wooden tortilla press. Wouldn't you know it? It was there, and it was less expensive than the metal ones. But when we went back to Amazon, they were $99.
Awesome.
And it was. Then it wasn't me. I wish I could take this, but it was Tim that said, why don't we make it authentic? Why don't we go to Guatemala and make it an authentic wooden garlic press, tortilla press,
Yes.
rather than coming from China.
Right.
And so at the end of the call, we had already figured this out. And after the call, all of a sudden we were swamped with Amazon wooden tortilla presses. But it was just a way that you could make a heck of a lot more money, niching down, like getting more specific rather than just tortilla press. Now it's wooden tortilla press.
Yeah, bamboo tortilla press. Look, we're giving out product ideas.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that is awesome. And that is, we were going to touch on community. You brought it up, but that is where the power of community comes in. And I would say today more than ever, you need people on your team. You need a community. You need a team players for PPC. You need them for bouncing ideas off of, just people who are ahead of you, maybe some that you can mentor. So let's touch on that. And I know community is big for you. And when did community become kind of more of an essential than like something nice to have?
For brands, it's always been there. But for Amazon, people were selling products up until just a few years ago, and they weren't really doing any brands. Even now, there aren't true brands on Amazon. They're getting more. These are everyday names. We work with micro brands, all of us. So unless you're a household name, you're not truly a brand. You're a micro brand. And that's what Amazon's allowed us to do. And micro brands, over the last few years, Amazon said, hey, look at, we want to create your brand story. Here's your brand feed. Here's your store. So you can start to build out that community, but that's small. I mean, you could work your brand feed and you can get a lot more followers, but how do you get that? And it's really important nowadays that people have that, because you are going to be the authority. And if there's 20 different competitors out there and they all look the same, and they all have quality images, how do you stand out? Well, I know one thing. People will go and search Google before they buy a product. Usually, it's got to be spectacular for a micro brand just to go, oh yeah, boom, Dr. Squatch soap. Maybe, okay, yep, I'm buying that. They don't have to go and they have all these commercials. All right, they're moving into brand. But for most micro brands, we don't have that luxury. People are going to go out. They don't really think this. It's the psychology of a human, is they don't really realize that they already have their red flags up. And if you just don't look like you're consistent, or if your social media is off a little bit, or if your website doesn't align with your Amazon or your social media, something smells funny and a red flag goes up and you just move on to the next one.
I know.
And then you'll do that a few times. I did this with an orange light bulb. I did this. It's so stupid. Like, I know what I was doing. And after I purchased the $3 light bulb, I went, I can't believe I wasted a half hour researching an orange light bulb. But I fell for it. But people do that. So you have to be consistent. And one of the things that you want to do, make sure your colors and your fonts are right. Very basic stuff. But if you are the face of the brand, so I have a podcast, I'm the face of that brand. I want to make sure that I've got the oranges, I've got the blacks, I've got the beard, because you're the face, the fonts, everything that's associated with my personal brand is perfect. And I can't sway from that unless there's a rebranding. So where do you start, as a brand, not so much as a podcast, but as a beauty brand? You got to go in and you got to research. That's the first thing. Yes. You got to get the tone. How are people talking? What are some key words that you could put in to, some of your copy? And we're really lucky over the last couple of years because of AI. It makes it very easy to go and do some research and, dig out these keywords that I think Stephen Black, awesome marketer, he talks about scuba diving. and all the different types of scuba diving. And there's very specific groups that you can go to, and all these really cool keywords that nobody would know unless you were this specific type of scuba diver. And you can do that with all of your brands, like anything that you're doing. And that's a place to start. But another place to start, like just building up that brand, putting it onto the different types of social media. I think a big mistake a lot of people make when trying to build a quality community is they start to promote themselves. And I use the word promote on all these different social media platforms. And first of all, what's the right platform for you? Don't throw spaghetti and see what sticks. Research. What are the demographics? Pinterest or TikTok Shop or whatever you're, trying to sell. And then once you find that, then you can start to drill down and not promote.
Yes.
Worst thing you can do, if you don't want to build a community or if you want a discount community, go ahead and promote all day long and you'll get the crappiest. They will switch on a dime to another group in a second. You want people that are going to be loyal customers. How do you do that? And you know this.
Yeah, you lead with value.
Value. Yeah. As my buddy, old business partner, Wilford Lightheart used to say, you have to get engaged before you get married.
Yeah.
It's so true.
I love that.
Yeah. So, going back, there's so many things that you can do with these communities, and we already talked about it. You can niche down. It's a very simple. Like I talked about scuba diving, then you could go down to all these other levels of scuba diving if you have a specific type of brand, or you might even have a couple of different communities. I'll give you an example. So I have natural soap. Natural soap goes out to, and I really thought my soap was being targeted towards women. Okay. I pulled back the demographics and it turns out more men were buying my soap than women. Now I went, okay, I don't get this. Why is that happening? Well, then it hit me. They're buying it for their partners. The women weren't buying my soap.
Right. They have the buying power. Yes.
Yeah. Well, not the buying, just, I'm going to give this as a nice, because I was marketing as a gift instead of chocolate or flowers. Here's a gift pack, and it was, gift basket with some stuff. But then I had this other group I wanted to market to, which I could sell for even higher. And this is my mutter group. And this is just crazy people who like to go out, the obstacle courses. You probably like this, and just go through these obstacle courses, like these military type obstacle courses, get covered with mud. And I had
mud runner or something. The
mud runners. Yep. They're called mudders. And so I have a soap, the same soap that I sell everybody else, but it's a big block of soap. And I market it as Get Clean with Mud. And that's a whole different group.
Yes.
So, you could, just like your packaging, your marketing, you could do that. But there's so many.
Reminds me of the Dawn commercials where they're cleaning ducks. Like, I don't have a duck to clean, but like, I definitely want my dishes clean.
Yeah. But that's a great commercial. That started off with those oil spills.
Yeah.
Dove went out there and cleaned all these animals.
Yes.
So, but when you're looking at these groups, social media groups, of course, like if people think of Facebook groups, or you could, start building up groups in these other platforms, but influencers can really help you start to build a group. Hiring somebody or trying to research areas that you could go into and finding the right groups to start commenting on. You can also use Google or Perplexity to help you build it, but or another LLM, something out there. One of the things I also work with to help build the groups are Google alerts and just monitoring specific hashtags. So you can do that, pretty easily. But once you get, and this is going to be all over the map, but the next thing I think a lot of people should be doing is working with their own podcast or a newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we do podcasts, to help people understand Amazon or e-commerce,
Right.
but you can do that with bully sticks, and I do have a friend who does dog beds, and he's got this huge podcast for pet owners. And, one of the sponsors, it's his brand, but it's all about just dogs and keeping them healthy and bringing on different pet owners. And he's got so much business from this podcast. So you could do this like longer form, 10-minute to half-hour podcast. You can repurpose those clips, using like Opus Clip or Simplified. You can create a video from the podcast through Pictory or in video. You can take that podcast and turn it into a blog article through like an AI tool, like a video to blog. And then from that, you can spin that into a press release. And there's so much content that you can put out of a podcast. And if anybody's listening to these tools, like for creative ideas, AudioPen is great. Phrase.io is great. Or you could just, LLM. Notebook LM, I think everybody is talking about right now.
What's that? I haven't heard of that. What's Notebook LM?
Oh my God.
Sounds like it'll take notes for you, but I'm guessing it's more than that. It's like,
so I take my podcast, I put it into Notebook LM, and you have two people that start talking about it. And it's like, oh, hey, I just listened to Norm Farrar's latest Lunch with Norm with so and so. Yeah, he was really incredible. Did you know Norm has been in business for over 30 years doing branding? I didn't know that. You cannot tell. It's not two people.
Is amazing. That's perfect for brands. Like I could do that for my Amazon 100%. Brand easily.
And since I started doing this, like it used to be where it was harder to manipulate. Now I can go in and I say, here's a piece of content. Can you, and it'll analyze the podcast. So I put the podcast in and say, analyze this section. So we're talking about the 5 reasons why. And then it'll come up with this short piece of content. And it'll give you your FAQs. It was made for education. Oh. And it's truly unbelievable. We use it all the time. And for brands, it would be great. But we spew out tons of content on that. And the other, what was the other one that Napkin? Have you heard of Napkin?
The idea one. Is that the one for ideas? Okay.
It's for infographics.
Yeah, I think I have, but go ahead and tell us about it.
So if you're looking for content, there's all sorts, you try to mix it all up. So It might be a quote, it might be an image. I mean, there's so many things you can do, but the one thing that's missing is that infographic. So you can go into Napkin, and I think it's free. I think it's just napkin.app. Type in like an SOP. So we use it now for our SOPs. We say, here are the 10 steps. It comes out with a complete flow chart for our team.
Wow.
And then it's got like 30 or 40 different variations. So it could be an idea. It could be just a mind map. It could be anything. So one of the other really cool things, there's 2 other really cool things that we're doing right now. Not so much to build the community, but to get content. And where is it? For anybody who's watching this on a video stream, this. Have you seen that?
Norm is holding up something that looks like the back of an old
black
phone.
card. It just looks like a black card with
like a little wallet. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kevin King and I have been we're doing a ton of work together, and we go to all these different events, and all we do is we split up at the event. All right, Kev, see ya. High five. Meet you for lunch. And then I go in, I take this, I put it on the table, I press record. It takes all the notes, it summarizes it, makes a transcript, creates an audio file, And by the end, it'll give me a summary, frequently asked questions, everything that you need to know to grab content from that. And then all I do is I feed that into one of the content apps that I used, and then it writes content for me. But just so we can share, we went to a YouTube thing a couple months back and learned a ton just by sharing these notes.
That's awesome.
So that's one. And then the last thing that you probably haven't heard of, it's come out, it's picking up steam, and I'm loving it. I can't tell you. I usually have like 30 tabs. Like if I turn on my screen right now, you can see like there's literally 30 tabs open.
I hope I'm a one tab kind of podcast with you. You got 30 tabs open?
I literally have tons, like I over 30 tabs. I could share my screen and I could show you. It's tons. And it's an organized mess. But to do this in an organized way, I use this new browser called Arc.
Arc.
A-R-C. Now, this is the most important thing. It takes all of your Chrome extensions and works with them. So problems are if you go to DuckDuckGo, or if you go over to Edge, or if you go to these other browsers, it's always like, oh God, I can't get my extensions. Nothing works. Arc is a new way of doing things. You picture this. You have a profile. That profile has a space. In that space, you have usually your extensions, you have your favorites, and you have these folders. So the folders are like the Chrome groups. So you can have, these are my frequent AIs. If I'm doing money, or if I've got my startup. So, usually I have all my Google Workspace stuff in there.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's a whole bunch. There's usually 5 or 6 different groups. Plus, you can just put a single tab in. Or if this is just a one-off tab that you're looking at, those go away after 12 hours if you want. So it's always keeping it fresh. Here's the difference. I have Lunch with Norm. I've got Marketing Misfits with Kevin. I've got Dragonfish. I have these different companies, all with different workspaces. So now I just swipe it. There's my new Arc with logging in to a different account at the same time. And I could do all my Lunch with Norm stuff. And then I swipe it again. And then, there's Dragonfish or Marketing Misfits, all with a completely different Google Workspace open.
Yeah.
And the other thing it has, get this. This is so cool. In each one of those, you can create multiple easels, and they're live, real-time easels. So if you're monitoring the stock market, or if you're monitoring something, you got the news on, and you don't want, or the weather, whatever it is, it could be anything. It's real-time updates in an easel. And all you do is go to your easel section, and there it is. If you want to watch your team update something, there it is. It's on the easel. It's at your fingertips. Plus, they've got an AI component embedded in it. So it's awesome.
That is awesome. All right. Well, now I got to try that because I have, a bunch of different profiles in Google and other ones, browsers for all the different businesses and stuff I do. So I'm going to try that and I will report back.
Very good.
Yeah. Thanks for the insight. Awesome. Well, before we say goodbye, I kind of want to know what drives you and what do you find most rewarding with this journey? Because as we've been talking, like you have lit up over almost every topic we've talked about. And that's refreshing. And you don't see that a lot with people who've been doing this a long time.
I thought you were going to say old guys.
With beards.
Old guys with beards. Exactly. Fossils with beards.
So funny. Yeah. How do you keep going?
It's education. So I am a bit of a workaholic. So, I don't do a lot of things. I like working. I like ideas. And like AI right now dropped on my lap. That's my new, this is my baby. And I got to understand it. And I'm taking, I am on courses every single night. On the weekend, I block 4 hours. Okay, I'm going to go over to this course. I'm going to learn about Google Knowledge Panel. I'm going to learn about Google Business Profile, all these things that most people don't have a clue on. And I hear about it, and then now I've got to learn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like that. Never stop learning, right?
Never stop continuous learning. Yes.
Yes. Invest in yourself to be better. And I'm so glad you invested in your Amazon education. And I did too. I did a course too. And that's how I learned to sell.
Sometimes you've got to spend money to make money. Even after we both spent money on ASM, my biggest turn in this industry was going to 2 events, convincing my wife that, because I was never in front of the camera, I was always in business, running the business. I said, I'd really like to, I think I could do something with Amazon. But there was 2 conferences going on. One was ASM's Mallorca trip, where I met a ton of people, which I'm still in contact with 75% of those people back in 2017. And 1 week later was the Illuminati. That was Kevin King's, Manny and Gee's, Helium 10. They changed it now to Helium 10 Elite. And that was in Hawaii. And I had to convince my wife to give me $40,000 to go to these 2 events.
Yep.
She did. And it was a life changer.
Well, hats off to Connie. We love her.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, yeah, it's good to have a supportive support network at home too. Your family has jumped on board. I've had the honor of meeting your wife and Kelsey, and it's good to have them rally around you.
Yeah, it certainly does. When you have that support, you can at least try to do things.
Yes, we're all out here trying. Well, you're crushing it, and really appreciate all of your insights and taking the time out of your busy learning schedule and growing your businesses to chat with us. We would love to have you back on the Adventure podcast. So I'm just going to say we'll see you again soon, Norm. Thank you.
Very good. And thanks again for having me on.